Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let me make sure everything is up and running. Just for notice, guys, saying Progressive was supposed to be here today at 5 o'clock. I'm starting the show a little bit early as somewhat of a mic check-in as a notification. In addition to the title of this this particular piece. But she's not feeling well. She was feeling miserable. If you saw her show yesterday, you knew she wasn't feeling all that well. She's rescheduled for next week, so I hope she feels better. And everyone on Twitter has expressed this kind of thing of, I hope Saying Progressive feels better, including one person who has suggested that I was going to get shredded when Sanders came up. But whatever. She'll feel better in a week or so, and she'll be back on. So that's the first part. Second part, again, thank all my patrons, all my subscribers, and everyone else. You guys are immensely appreciated. I have a show coming up after this one, but I had to add this in when it came up in my mailbox. So, going back, maybe a month ago, I think it was about a month ago, Democrats, in this noble, glowing stance, and I gave them credit for this, this kind of, this stance with Schumer and these other Democrats who flag out by him. And this noble stance saying, no, we will not support this particular bill. We would not support any kind of funding bill because it does not include DACA. You're not allowing these kids who were brought here through no fault of their own to be shipped out the country. We're going to stand here. We're going to be the man on the wall. We, the Democratic Party, who scream about identity at the top of our lungs, are philosophically, or at the very least ethically, stuck with being the man on the wall in this situation if we have to have any legitimacy whatsoever on this particular topic. And they stood like statues for 3 days over the weekend until there was news. Mitch McConnell, the credible, the completely ethical, the person who he says it and his word is the word of God, Mitch McConnell, has agreed to have a conversation about this, to bring this up. Now, Mitch McConnell didn't make any promises. Mitch McConnell didn't promise that his people would fall in line on this. Mitch McConnell got no approval whatsoever from Paul Ryan, nor did he get any agreements from Donald Trump on this. Mitch McConnell alone, the guy in the Senate who's in charge of the Senate, and only the Senate, has said we'd bring this up. We'd have a conversation about this. For these Democrats being the man on the wall for this particular group who is under constant threat of detention by maniacs and kicked out of a country, their country, mind you. This is somewhat, you can imagine this was somewhat unsavory. This didn't necessarily give them any kind of confidence or anything else that they will be protected in the way that Democrats said they were going to be protected. Not to mention, you shut the government down. You had one main issue, and you reopened the government without any approval or any agreements on that particular issue. A little strange. Somewhat bewildering behavior. But that is the behavior that the Democrats engaged in. They reopened the government. There was negotiations. And you find out that after this group, who in this moment, this glorious moment, shut down the United States government over the particular issue of DACA, a few days after that, you find out that DACA was off the table. That these guys who thought it was so important to shut down the government over this issue, that this issue is now off the table. We'll get to this issue later. It was said. Today, the budget deal comes out. And yes, it was right. DACA is not in this deal. It is off the table. There are plenty of budgetary stuff, sweeping bill, including the Republicans, upping the amount that they're willing to spend. DACA is off the table. The Democratic Party caved on a shutdown where they brought the United States government to a screeching halt. Caved again that despite it being so important that they needed to shut down the U.S. government, this was not an issue that they thought was important enough to ensure that it was in a budget agreement at all. It's off the table. And now the Senate Democrats, working in coordination with Republicans, on what both have called bipartisan legislation, has come to some agreement and some deal in which DACA is off the table. This is your resistance, ladies and gentlemen. This is your resistance. Let's take a look at the article itself. Now, here's the thing. There is a wrinkle in this. There's a glimmer of a wrinkle in this. Nancy Pelosi has charge of the House in regards to Democrats, have come out saying, I am not happy with this deal. This deal will not get traction in the House if you go along with this. Meaning, if DACA recipients are not on the agenda, you are not going to get our approval on this deal. Now, it's hard to know whether Nancy Pelosi has the clout to make this work. But nevertheless, she's the leader in the House. She's the man at the door, or in this case, the woman at the door. And she's showing somewhat fortitude, as she said before in the past. You got to give her credit. She said before, this is not going to go through the House if you do not have Dreamers associated with this bill. Let's see how long she holds it. Let's take a look at this. Give them credit when credit is due. Hit them when it's not. In this case, if Nancy Pelosi holds the line, good job, Nancy Pelosi. The weak failures in the Senate did not. Sweeping budget deal will add $400 billion in federal spending in months of bipartisan wrangling. Congressional leaders on Wednesday unveiled sweeping budget deal that would add $400 billion in federal spending over the next 2 years, delivering the military funding boost demanded by President Trump alongside the increase in domestic programs sought by Democrats. With the government shutdown deadline on midnight Thursday looming, the accord holds the promise to break months-long partisan standoff centered on federal spending. The roadblocks remain. And in a major lift for the package, the White House signaled its support, with President Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders calling it a step forward. But several Republicans strenuously oppose a plan that would add to the national debt. This spending drill is billed as a debt junkie's dream, said Representative Mo Mook. His name is Mo. That's awesome. He's from Alabama. I'm sorry. Warning of $1 trillion deficits. I'm not only a no, I'm a hell no. According to outlines of the budget deal shared by congressional aides, existing spending limits written into law will be raised by a combined $315 billion through 2019. About $90 billion more will be spent on disaster aid for victims in recent hurricanes and wildfires. The interesting part, let's read this part. The bill represents a significant bipartisan step forward, said Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. I hope we can build on this bipartisan momentum and make a 2018 a year of significant achievement for Congress, for our constituents, and for the country we all love. I bet he's fucking ecstatic. I mean, ultimately, you've been able to get the Democratic Party to fall in line with something. I've done something wrong. There we are. You've been able to get them to fall in line with something that they said they weren't going to be on board for. Getting what you want out of the deal. And getting what you don't want to do. Like, do you know how emasculating this is? You shut the government down on one issue. You shut it down. Bring this shit to a stop. The Dreamers are going to be included in this bill. Then it's, okay. Can we just talk about it? Can we have a conversation about it? And then it's, okay, you're right. It's off the table. It's off the table. You're Mick resistance, folks. Mick resistance. I love it. God damn, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Your resistance. Eminem should write a rap about it. Let's see, here we are. All right, so they're increasing military spending after already increasing military spending. That's great. This guy right here. Senate Democratic aide said the budget deal contains wins for the minority party. Does it now? Starting with a major increase in domestic programs that the party championed. These figures negotiated represent an equal increase in defense and non-defense spending over the levels in the 2011 Budget Control Act. That's good, but with the budget deal not expected to address the Dreamers or any immigration issue, Pelosi has the answer to angry members of her base. She is facing internal pressure from immigrant supporters in her caucus who have pushed relentlessly in recent months to use what little leverage they have in the House minority to secure protections for Dreamers. Of the 193 voting House Democrats, only 45 supported the deal that reopened the government after a 3-day shutdown last month. Understand what they're saying. That even though the Senate Democrats are weak and feckless and failures in regards to supporting their base, Nancy Pelosi is getting pressure from her base. And Nancy Pelosi is essentially saying, we don't like this. We don't like this. And apparently, they only had 45 that thought it was okay to open the government. Meaning, you had support in the House to say, keep the shit shut until Dreamers are included. Is that enough? Who knows? Who knows? At the end of the day, the Senate has passed their bill, or the very least has come to agreements with their bill. And mind you, we don't know if those agreements had already been made. It is very possible that the agreement had already been made, that all of this was just theater. They were just going through the motions, knowing full well that this was going to come to a pass. So, all right, we've made an agreement. And my base should be happy because I shut the government down for 3 days over the weekend. My base should be ecstatic because we shut the government down for 3 days over the weekend. Let's see. Oh, here we are. Representative Luis Gutierrez, an outspoken leader of the party's Latino bloc, said Tuesday that any budget deal that does not protect Dreamers would represent a complete betrayal of key and core principle for Democrats. He compared it to party leaders agreeing to close Planned Parenthood clinics or ending federal recognition of same-sex marriage. Look, I can't make it any clearer, he said. I would have to go back to the Democratic caucus and denounce any such proposal and anybody that was involved in making it. I cannot be a Democrat in good standing if they're not going to share values. Fucking A for you, Gutierrez. Mind you, you have a dog in the hunt, but fucking A for you, Gutierrez. It's called believing in something. It's called believing in something. When Rand Paul is screaming in the House and the Senate talking about he's having to sit-in because we can't allow the President of the United States, whether it's Democrat or Republican, to persist in these wars, that is him believing in a specific thing. Now, he's fucking off the rails and other stuff. But that's called believing in something. In this case, Gutierrez is like, I would denounce this fucking party. I would denounce anybody else who's went along with this. I want no part of this. We said that we were going to protect the Dreamers. Are we going to protect the Dreamers? The DACA issue in the whole first place is somewhat of a Democratic issue. Are we going to deal with this issue? Yes or no? Yes or no? You have 80% of the country behind you. Are we going to deal with this issue? Yes or no? Your resistance. The article is at the bottom. I'm not going to go too long into this one today because I have another show coming up. But like I said, your resistance. Your resistance. All right, guys, for those who are just getting here, I was supposed to have a show today with Debbie at 5 o'clock. Debbie is not feeling well. Debbie has a cold. I am going to have another show coming up today, and Debbie will be here next week. We miss her. I was going to make jokes about her faking a leg injury in order to get away from any kind of conversation about Sanders, but I'm not going to do that. No, she was feeling miserable. She did a show, I think it was yesterday, and yeah, she looked bad. She looked bad. And I don't mean bad in what she was getting out. I just mean she looked like she felt bad. When I first talked to her and asked her to come on to the show, and she said she was feeling bad, my thought was Wednesday, but I thought, is she going to be feeling okay for that show on Wednesday? And I got to be honest, I would prefer her to be at 100% to have that show. So, feel better, Debbie. I will see you guys in the next 10 minutes. The 10 minutes is going to be awesome. I think you're going to want to show up for that. Tucker Carlson shreds Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is a leading Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. And he's been screaming Russia at the top of his lungs. He gets shredded. He gets shredded. Just like Aaron Matei on Real News Network shredded that guy who wrote a book called Collusion. The guy who wrote the book called Collusion couldn't defend the position that it was Russian collusion. Adam Schiff, the leading Democrat fearmonger and Red Menace in chief, got shredded by Tucker Carlson. God damn it, how far we've come. How far we've come. I mean, if I am bringing up Tucker Carlson in good words, how far we've come. But you've heard me say before, the whole thing of, and I'll end it on this, the whole thing of it's being able to shift perspectives depending upon who's giving the perspective. Like, it's like knowing the bias. I know Tucker Carlson's bias. I know if it's on Fox News, the bias is going to be from Republicans against Democrats. That doesn't mean that what they're saying is wrong. But it does mean that if you want to go for somebody that's going to hit a Democrat in the eye, it'll be Fox News. Now, the catch becomes, is what they're saying right? Is what they're saying wrong? Are they showing undue bias? Do they actually have the goods to run this report? Meaning, I may have bias against you. And in having bias against you, I may also get real factual information to hit you in the eye, which makes that bias that much more succulent, if that makes sense. It's like when it's something that's real and genuine, yeah, the network that's going to put pokers in the person, it's going to be that network that dislikes. By the same token, if it's something that's real and genuine, MSNBC would probably just ignore it or play it down. In the same way, if Fox has some information against Donald Trump, Fox News will play that information down. By the same token, MSNBC will take out the pitchforks. It's just knowing the bias. You, as a person who tries to be above it all and beyond it all, use their biases for your own ends. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish? Which party do you think is being honest? And by party, I don't mean the party. Which person in this contest do you think is being honest? Or for that matter, do you think both of them are lying? Do you think all of them are telling the truth? Do you think there's some legitimacy to one and not the other? You make those choices, not necessarily being fixed or stuck to any of them, but at the same token, floating through all of them. At least that's the way I see it. So, the next one that's going to come up is Adam Schiff getting shredded by Tucker Carlson. This is going into my like queue. He eats him alive on this. I love it. So, I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. All right, guys. Thanks.